Sorry about that, everybody. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and also the co host and co producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care and also co sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. It is Saturday night, May 28th, and Stagger State of Things. I said it wrong already. State of Things. You know what? I got to get it right one of these days. State of Things with Aisha and Jill. And just want to say before we go into it, unfortunately, Aisha is not with us tonight. She is overcoming a health challenge. So if prayer is in your realm, please have a special prayer for Aisha. She's going through a little bit of a health challenge, and we were expecting her to be on live with us, and about an hour and a half ago, she had to go to the emergency. So please put out a good word for her. But I know that she'd want us to continue. And I already hear her smacking me on my bald head saying, get the title right, get the title right. But we've got a bonus for you tonight. So as always, we're going to bring, who else? Jill Jones.
Hello.
How are we doing, Jill Jones?
Great. Very good. I hope everybody's doing well out there. And, it's been a tough week.
Absolutely. But are you watching your French Open?
Yes, actually, yes. I got a little distracted in the middle of the week, but yeah, it's always a good distraction. I was looking for distractions from things this week.
Is it getting more difficult?
Now that, yeah, it's getting more difficult. I think there's a lot of very serious things going on. And pretty soon it's going to be time for all of us to buckle down and pull up our bootstraps and get ready to take some folks out of here in the next election. How to remove them.
Jill, you're not suggesting we remove some people.
We have to vote them out. It has to be over the top OTT voting style this year. The last time we were a little too gingerly stepping across. Oh wow, if we get this many, then we were only worried about that big orange bowl of pus called Trump. But now it's like we have to remove. Like if they say Republican, you got to be like that girl at the checkout counter. She got to go. Like we got to not leave any stones unturned because you never know who they know and whose family member is doing what. Mainly the courts and people coming up for election, the school boards. You do your homework, find out who believes in this crazy ideology of the Republican base, and vote the opposite direction.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's going to be quite the mid. I think a few weeks ago, I would have thought from where I sit, I thought the midterms would be pretty much a Republican comeback, but I'm questioning that right now.
Totally, me too. And I think that, we cannot F around. It's just, that should just be on our t-shirts, about our democracy. We cannot F around. This is like, stop it, and it ain't faffing. That's not what my F stands for. It ain't faffing.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, before we go any further, it's Jen. Hey Jen, what's going on?
Jen.
Hope you had a good week also. And yes, she has prayers for Aisha. And she's already saying, totally agree. It should be Jill, not Hill. But I know
you could call me Hill at this point. I'm not that sensitive anymore.
So we have a special new friend for the next little while with us. Actually, before we go further, totally agree, Jill. People need to be on point and vote properly. There you go. She corrected herself like she always does. But yeah, and we have a special new friend with us today. And I think I have mentioned her in some of our previous conversations. And she is a intern that's helping out State of Things with Aisha Jill. I got it right this time. Over the summer, she's brought a lot of energy. She's brought a lot of great things. And over the next few weeks, you'll see some things that are going to be new that we've been wanting to do or never thought about doing. And she's bringing some of those ideas to the platform or to the conversation. So I want to share with you Laura Faria. Hey Laura, you're on mute. There we
Hello.
go.
Hello.
Well,
Hi.
Laura, how are you?
I'm great. I mean,
Good.
I could be better in a different week, but aside from that, I'm alive and I have a red microphone.
Oh, welcome.
So, Laura, would you like to share with a little bit with the family, a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am a Brazilian immigrant. I've been living in Canada for almost 10 years now. I'm gonna complete 10 years in September. And I've spent the past 8 years doing entertainment here. I've gone from doing acting to stand-up comedy to media producing and podcasting. I've really found myself in podcasts, and now I am entering the live stream world.
Yes.
Uh,
Very nice.
now, so just a little bit more, and born in Brazil. Now, why, like, we had met a little while back at your schools. I was going to say institution, but I'll say schools. Um, there was sort of like a meet and greet. Why did you want to be, first of all, why did you want to help out with the Dr. Vibe show? And then why did you want to be part of this show?
First, I really wanted experience with live streams and working remotely. I wanted to take a break from podcasting, but I really wanted to dive into broadcasts. And I figured I'm going to find a show that has a nice audience, a really nice host that can teach me how to host, how to network, how to do everything. And then maybe I can leave my mark, you
Mm.
know? And then the option for State of Things was definitely my choice because it's a very political show and I'm a very opinionated person.
You're going to fit right in.
So yeah,
I'm glad.
for the next little while, you'll be a perfect fit. And I think that I have a feeling by the time, I'm not saying you'll ever have to leave us, but I think that you'll be an adopted daughter of Jill and Aisha's.
Totally.
Well, I hope
Totally.
so because they're great connections to have.
Well, not only great connections, they're really great people. And oh, someone's mic. Jill,
I think.
can't hear you.
Can hear me.
Can't hear you.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yes,
got you
sorry
now.
about
We
that.
got
Well,
you now.
Mercury's in retrograde,
No.
so just know that. That's why you're having all these problems. And I think it's there until
Oh
the
my
4th of
goodness.
June.
I'm trying so hard to learn astrology these past few days. A friend of mine did a
Ooh.
reading of my birth chart, which was a personal attack.
Oh my God, really? Oh, I'll have to look at your chart. No,
Yeah. It was crazy. Anyway.
All right. So, folks, as Laura said, she's very passionate about politics. So don't think she's gonna sit there and say nothing.
I have
She's
my
gonna talk.
drama face right now. This is this is me ready for drama.
I think Jill's gonna enjoy this tonight. I think Jill's gonna enjoy this. All right, so let's get to our first conversation piece, and yeah, there's so much to talk about this. Our first conversation piece. Gunman shot and killed 21 people dead, including 19 students and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas. Wherever you want to, ladies, start with it. Let's go for it.
So I think
Okay.
there's just a heartbreak that's going on.
in the whole this whole with this whole shooting. I mean, don't forget, I think it was 10 days before that we had the shooting in Buffalo. So
Yep.
they just sort of ramp up. And what a lot of people don't know is that there were even in between those days, there were 3 other shootings. Like every day you can go and find a shooting. Like even since the shooting in Texas, there was another one the other night in Walmart in Iowa or somewhere like that. It's just nonstop. I think that we're either completely desensitized or completely now just shook. This is not the first time children have been gunned down here. God, I mean, it should have stopped when Columbine started, but it won't. It didn't. And then once Sandy Hook happened, I mean, it's kind of wild. Then we had Parkland even a few years back, and I'm like, but it didn't affect people then. Why? Because the kids were basically considered close to being adults. But the fact that these are younger and younger, the murderers, the murders, I don't really know what that says about the people in this country, and particularly the people in the state of Texas who have allowed Governor Abbott to go completely hog wild and sign all these bills into place. Everybody actually, in my mind, needs to be voted out there. I don't think that there's enough people who've done it. And they just need a whole change of the guards on that Republican side. I don't know how they can live with themselves. I honestly don't. And I blame everybody in Texas in a way, because it's kind of like they've been ignoring the fact of what's been going on, but not paying attention to what's been happening in their state. They've allowed this man, to go and do some absolute heinous things. We saw Beto go after him, but he didn't go after him enough as far as I was concerned. Beto ran in when all these old white men are, trying to say that the shooter had a mental problem. We do know that he was talking to a girl in Germany on chat. And I know she was 15, but if you don't have the good sense about you these days, to let somebody know if somebody's just talking crazy, you shouldn't be online. I mean, because also they need to do something regionally with that. Then the social media needs to figure that out, because you're looking at long time delays. Some stuff needs to change. This guy went and told her, I shot my grandmother in the head. I still don't understand how he owns 2 assault rifles valued at $5,000. I don't know, where did he get this money? And the company that makes these assault rifles, we're not supplying something, or they shut down something for a minute, out of respect for the dead. But it won't be long enough. And most people, when they think people are coming after their gun laws in America, they actually see an increase in gun sales. And then don't even get me started on the incompetency of the police, who waited 40 minutes to go in and rescue any of those children.
The cops. Where to begin with the cops? Mm-hmm. And the thing that I find funniest is that apparently cops are not supposed to put themselves in danger.
Right.
Because no job should require that of a person. But I'm sorry, what do firefighters have to do again?
I think that's it. But you hit on something, because I think that's what they're saying these days. But they have no problem policing people who are driving in their cars, people of color, or look what they did to Sandra Bland in Texas.
They can shoot an unarmed man in case this person was a threat, because they were potentially fearing for their lives. But a school shooter gets to walk around the hallway for 40 minutes with them hanging out outside, handcuffing parents who are willing to get in danger to save their children.
Of course.
And let's talk about the fact that they did go in for their children specifically, and then left the rest to die. There's a mom who drove there and she got handcuffed. She got out of the handcuffs. She hopped the fence, went inside the school, walked out with her 2 kids, all while 19 officers were just like waiting outside.
Right.
Like, she is a better representation of the fictional character that we are always rooting for in television, and it's sad. Where is all those billions of dollars going to? For what?
Exactly, because it's not going to training, and
For
it's
what?
definitely, it is not going to training. And this is why I've been saying that Abbott is the worst kind. God only knows what that man has been doing with funding and the monies. And also, we've known for a long time in America that we have cops that are afraid of people. We've known that when they shoot unarmed people in their cars. And we've also known that they're, not getting it. There are some amazing cops, I have seen, but very few these days. They will never be able to live down what they just did, ever.
But the thing is that they're not even willing to take accountability for it. That's my problem with it. If they were, then maybe I would give them a vote of confidence. But it's the fact that they're not going to get punished, they're always going to get away with it.
They're not going to get punished, but the one thing is that people make the world go round. The people in that town must have them resign. They must be fired. The people, and it is coming to the point where the revolution is not going to happen. You can't entrust anything. Look, every parent in America should pay attention. If you think that your kid is someone else's priority, do not ever make that mistake again, because that's what happened. And they showed you when they're being shot to bits in the face and you have to peel them off of the falls, which I believe every senator, every freaking person elected, I mean Dems and Republicans, need to be sent to every shooting location and be forced to clean it up.
And can we talk about the fact that the same people who are telling us that we need more guns so that somebody could do something about it are also the same people not acknowledging that police themselves with their guns in their multiple numbers did not feel safe facing a person with an AR-15, which begs the question, why sell it? Why?
Exactly.
I was gonna say, there's a tweet that I saw from @MinZiChan, and it's a really good quote, because to all the people who are extremely conservative right now and hypocrites, all I have to say is that when it comes to abortion, they go, "When the children."
Right.
When it comes to gay rights, they go, "When the children." When it comes to bathroom rights for trans people, they go, "When the children." But ironically, when it comes to molestation in the church, they don't do anything about it. When it comes to politicians in sex scandals, they don't do anything about it. When it comes to war, they don't do anything about it. When it comes to rampant child poverty, they don't do anything about it. Mass shootings, who cares? Police brutality, who cares?
And technology is only exposing it,
because they don't.
It's true. And technology is exposing it faster for us to see the level of their disinterest. I personally believe that the American people are going to have to do something drastic, like stop paying our taxes, because I don't think the government is representing any of us or protecting us. And I don't even know I think they should just allow us to keep money so we can save our little selves from the impending doom and danger that's clearly headed this way. So, now it's so clear why Putin is so obsessed with the hypocrisy of American culture. And this is not something like, this is why that whole thing of, Putin's, everyone's like, he's just trying to do this, all the finger pointing about him. And, he has made a comment recently, not too long ago, that why would you want to live there? You open your mouth and you get shot. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong, but you can't tell me that we're going to keep giving money to Ukraine. I think they deserve the money and they deserve the help. But if you have a country that won't go in and defend against a dictator, that
the tone for a whole group of police who said, I ain't going in there. You going in? I ain't going in. We have people who don't even serve in our wars who are running the country. They're not competent. They're incompetent, pushing pencils and writing things off to deposit right into their wired bank accounts. Like I was talking about Putin's obsession with America's hypocrisy. Never forget, Khrushchev, was saying, we'll bury you. And they did. They have. And we're burying ourselves. We have a dead DOJ attorney, Merrick Garland. I mean, he's not alive, guys. I don't even know. They have shows now that ABBA has a whole band, a whole tour that they've got going on, and they're all at home, and it's all holograms. I think these people aren't even real. These in-person events and all of that I was reading about are about going to change too. There will be a point where we don't even really have to go out, especially the rich, who are going to isolate themselves even more from the serfdom that they're creating in the world. I'm so angry about these little babies. And the little girl, Laura, did you hear? The one who laid there with her friend on top on her. How do you not shake? I've been in earthquakes and been just shaking for afterwards. How do you not shake like a crazy person, trying to keep your eyes closed for an hour?
The thing that's so sad is that the only way this girl thought about that is because she probably met a veteran. And that's sad because you're comparing the experiences of adults in wars with children.
Yeah.
Can we also talk about Donald Trump addressing this?
Yes.
And doing a dance.
I know. What did he say again?
Mispronouncing the names of everyone.
Right.
It's almost like he did a dance at the end to be like, less Latinos. Like bragging about it.
I thought he was mispronouncing their names. Everybody knows how to pronounce Fernandez.
It was on purpose.
Garcia.
Was on purpose.
Come on. Yeah, it was.
It was a microaggression out of xenophobia. And the little dance was just...
He is such a bastard. He is such a bastard.
What I can't is with the apologists for that, because I want to hear the arguments of everyone. What? You don't want to do a dance when people applaud you? Not when I'm talking about a tragedy.
I couldn't be around that person. It always begs the question for me, like, how do people stay around these people, and how our society has not aligned itself with good morality or a good purpose. The other day they had that fucking crazy evil MTV bitch, Kellyanne Conway, the one who looks like Beavis and Butthead. She wrote a book. She was on The View. I don't understand why you give people platforms. You can review her book from afar, but you don't need her on TV explaining anything. You see, this is when you have to look at ABC, Fox, all of them, and go, you're all the same. Our country is going down the tubes. And in about maybe 10 or 15 years, it could be a pure head-on authoritarian leadership. And y'all might be trying to learn how to speak Russian, and your lives would just be cast aside.
What I can't really handle right now is the majority. Like when I go on Twitter and I look at this like a discourse and like replies and stuff like that, I see a huge majority of white women who are pro-gun and anti-abortion or pro-life, pro-gun, pro-life. How they can be at both, I don't know.
Right.
And I'm seeing a huge majority of them continuing to support Trump even after all.
Frightening. Chilling.
And I don't know what to tell them. I'm like, you think aligning yourself with the wolves will make you less of a victim? No.
Those are loser women. They've like drawn his face on the end of their dildo. You know what I mean? It's so like sad. You can't really. Sorry, that was a little crass, and I don't mean to be crass, but
Jill, you don't mean to be crass. Jill, apologetic. Oh my gosh!
Because this thing has made me have very horrible thoughts about people that I never thought I would. and it just escalates. And it's also made me question my faith. They've actually given Jesus a bad name. I mean, they've actually run people away. They turn people away. And
But that was
I don't
the
want to be a
plan all
part of
along,
it.
Jill.
It was the plan, right? I just can't hang with it. I'd rather worship alone, privately, my own thing. I just think we have to get to the point of not motivating things with, oh, everybody's going to be in heaven. I mean, how about the reality of people who are atheists, who are like, those people will never see their children again. There is no heaven and there is no hell. You basically cut short somebody's life. Now, can we just keep it in those reality terms? And you keep your fairy tale and I'll keep mine. But in a realistic scheme that a government should have, it should never rely on something that's not been proven. Do you understand? Like, you're going to go to heaven. Why does this country rely on that?
That's the thing. Why religion is embedded in laws is beyond me. Because if rules apply to all, right?
Mm-hmm.
We like if Christian people wouldn't want Muslim people putting laws there, then Christian people shouldn't be putting laws that Muslim people have to abide by. It's that simple. If you don't want someone to do something to you, you don't do that same thing to them. It's that simple. Now, when it comes to like Christian people in general, it's crazy because this has been like a big theme for me this year. Like back when I lived in Brazil, I used to read the Bible in Portuguese, specifically for the sake of arguing with the evangelicals that we had there.
Right.
Because we have a huge movement of politicians representing a church, like straight up saying, like, I am the representative of this church, and if you vote for me, I will always make laws in your interest. And it's like, what?
Wow.
And it's like, I'm at a point where I'm going back to studying the Bible again in English for the same purpose. 10 years later, I find myself going through the same unhinged path that I was at when I was 15.
Right.
And it's weird because I never liked churches, even though I believe in God. Just because I always thought that churches were not about faith. They were about social control.
Yes.
And manipulation of like masses. That's it. You know, they were never interested in like interpreting things and like
no. Otherwise, we wouldn't have people who sleep on the curb or homeless people. We wouldn't have that.
Your Christian
conscience would be like, these people need a home, right? Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? If the foundations of what you're teaching are so easily broken that questions, simple questions, valid questions that a person could ask is enough for you to be like, then maybe you don't know what you're talking about and you shouldn't be representing this.
And frankly, they should have burned the first half of it. Because after the covenant of Jesus Christ was the only part that you needed to move forward on.
And
that
honestly,
was
Jill,
like, just stick with this
honestly,
road.
Jill, any church that did not turn itself into a shelter during the pandemic does not have the right to weigh in on this conversation. I was really annoyed when I saw that some church members were like, oh, this person, I think it was Nancy Pelosi, I think they're like, oh, you can't take communion with us anymore because you support abortion. I'm like,
is he a cardinal?
I'm sorry, did God announce you to be his groupie who talks for him right now?
Right.
The high and almighty.
It was a cardinal or an archbishop in the Catholic Church, and it's like, you guys have your hands are so muddy. It's like, just stop it.
I want to bring
to address the child buried, the children buried under your property. First, to address that, and
I agree.
Then you come for abortion people.
But for me, we have stricter abortion rights being taken from women, and these gun laws. There's no regulation on any of it. A woman's body is regulated more than a person going out and purchasing guns. And if churches have a problem, And people with this whole abortion thing, in my mind, the one scripture that always kind of stands out is the one in Exodus. And there was a woman loses a baby in the middle of a fight or something. And the way that God or whoever, how they differentiate what the value of that baby, losing that baby was, it was treated as property. And it was not treated with the same utmost value as the mother.
That
So
the Bible considers life to begin at first breath.
Yeah, but the whole thing is they don't know. We're in a really bad way where religion, and particularly in Texas, why we're saying it just become it is a like when something just goes black and just falls off and dies. That's Texas. Yeah, that's the state of Texas. It's just nasty.
All right. The NRA is having their convention in Texas, but ironically, they will not let anyone attending it carry guns inside the event. Okay, it's all right to kind of carry guns in school. It's okay to carry guns openly, but
they want the teachers to be trained like, let's not forget another thing about Texas, which is people are also negating. Ted Cruz and Abbott have both, they're challenging the Supreme Court about the fact that they have to pay for public schools. Remember, they they don't think that their states should have to offer public school for free. So in a really weird way, they don't care. They haven't cared. See, they showed us who they were a few weeks back, which was, we don't really want to pay for your kids to go to school. We shouldn't be forced to. That's socialism. So now that all these kids got shot up, you expect a tear? Please. And because I believe that Abbott set up a premeditative mindset in Texas. He set it up already by stating his fact that he was going to take this and challenge it in the state Supreme Court and to the Supreme Court if necessary. So for me, he created an environment, he created a vibe, and people in Texas better wake up. You cannot make immigrants feel like all the time. And they are born in this country. Stop doing that. Stop making people feel that they're less than. It's not cool. It is not right. It is called racism and xenophobia. That guy, after they sent out senators that we had, sent out images of a girl's account as if he was dressed as a trans woman. And it's heinous. Where is our DOJ? Merrick Garland, I don't know, but he needed to be there because every senator who fed into that fire to create on the backs of little kids dying. I am so sick of Merrick Garland. I want him gone. And if Biden doesn't figure it out, man. You've got to go in and put a foot somewhere because this is not on. I didn't really know what Obama did behind the scenes, but I'll tell you one damn thing. I know some days his foot was in people's asses, and I was okay with that.
And I have not paid a lot of attention to this, but I know Jill has, and maybe you have. The Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Why is this important? Well, I do know why it's important, but wow.
I don't know if I am more annoyed at the trial itself or the people commenting it on TikTok. And what's really pissing me off is how a majority of Johnny Depp stan accounts are, at one hand, they say, this is important because we need to talk about male victims of abuse. But at the same time, they're making fun of all of this and making light of all of this. And how exactly are they bringing light to male abuse victims? How exactly are male abuse victims being taken more seriously right now with the way that this trial is going? First of all, I'm not even going to begin to talk about the comedy TikToks where people are getting cuts from the trials and being like, oh, if they talk to me like that, oh, I'm like, you are insane. Lock yourself up and seek help.
It's been interesting for many reasons, because I had been saying many years ago when we were talking about the Me Too movement that we can't always just believe people just because they say, some of the Me Too stuff was a little bit extreme, but it also updated me to the fact that, I mean, God, if I bang a cupboard or a cabinet in my house now, my husband could say, accuse me of IPV, which is like intimate partner violence. There's a lot of jargon and newfangled psycho that seems to be out in the therapy world. And I knew growing up in America, I knew women who beat their husbands. I heard my grandmother talking with her old grandma friends, and they all used to talk about a woman who did with her husband. So that was never, maybe because I'm just from the country, that was just something that I know. But this is important because of technology. When they have people saying that they can't verify an original photo, that's kind of interesting, don't you think? There is no way to verify an original photo. We put things through so many filters these days, so many things. And that was a trip. Those have been some very key things that have stood out for me in this case. Even the tech aspect, wow, we're really rolling down the hill. We're now getting, calling people out on more things that irritate us. We could actually cause harm to another person's life because I come in and bang my cabinet doors because I had a bad day. You could say I came in a room with intimidating behavior. And I don't know many people my age, boomers, who actually will understand that. It also makes me have to look at accusations very differently now, because I think we're all speaking very different languages to one another. And, I think I had a harder time when Amber Heard said that Johnny Depp raped her with a bottle and it broke inside of her, vagina, and she didn't go to the hospital. I mean, I've stated here before, my mother had been raped. If something's broken in you, that just doesn't make sense. No. And I thought that was a lie. And what really stood out for me too was one thing she said when she came back to have people, I'm getting death threats and I'm having all these things online. She pulled a Karen card and she goes, I'm an American. I'm human. I'm an American. And I was like, what does that say? She's from Texas. And I was like, oh, great. A dog whistle. When you say patriotic, that kind of stuff in America, I'm sorry. That's right down Trumpville for me. And that just makes me very uncomfortable. So that's my take.
I feel like at the end of the day, the results is only going to be up to the court to determine. And I don't really believe any of them 100%. I'm just gonna leave it for the court to decide that. But my problem with this trial, again, is the discourse around it. First of all, people suddenly consider themselves body language experts. Suddenly, everyone knows how a victim needs to react. Everyone knows how a male abuse victim needs to talk. Everyone knows, I'm just really pissed off at the experts commenting on this trial.
But there's no such thing as an expert anymore. I've been following this podcast on Pushkin Industries. They're doing a whole thing on experts. What's an expert? We don't have the time. We're not allowing people the time to be an expert. There was a guy who, all of a sudden he had a windfall on Wall Street and he became an expert. And he said, I'm not an expert. That was just luck. But we do that in this capitalistic environment. And then we have people go on YouTube and do their body language experts and all that kind of, you're absolutely right, Laura. But this is where we are. And as a society, everybody is shilling and hawking themselves as something in this community. That's crazy to me. Everybody has a thing. They're all doing it. We're all selling something. And that is kind of a bizarre concept. It's very dystopian to see us all whore ourselves out like that.
Herschel Walker. former NFL star, one of the most prolific college football stars in American history, running for Senate.
Prolific is what?
He was a great athlete.
Yeah, a great athlete, but don't cross that into his brains, which are like scrambled eggs. Oh my God. Oh, wow. I can't believe.
What can't
He
you
sounds
believe?
so illiterate. I mean, I think a donkey makes more sense.
Oh no.
It's so bad that it was cringy. Hearing him speak, Keith Boynton on Twitter had a post of his. I still don't know what Herschel was talking about. All I know that everybody was like, this is, the GOP likes their black men like this. I mean, he was really close to step and fetch it. And to have such a loudmouth child, that crazy son of his, Christian Walker or whatever, now we know why he overcompensates. His father is like he's got that thing, I think, that when they get hit in the head too much, football players. Seriously, I'm sure that when they take that and look at that brain later, he can't speak, guys. It's cringy. So, but that's how they like, it's like, he might as well be going, how y'all doing everybody? And, but he, he's pulled guns on people. He tried to pull guns on his wife. I mean, it's just like, good God Almighty.
What does it tell you, Jill? I'm putting up the caliber of candidate Herschel Walker is to be representing the Republican Party and having a chance to win.
That they think black people are stupid, and that we only vote because of the color of someone's skin. It's that the younger kids in Laura's generation and certainly have proven that's not true. He doesn't make you feel comfortable. Like, he doesn't seem like he has any shred of blackness in him. None.
So if he won, what would you do, Jill?
I mean, every day is a disappointment in this country, right? Really wouldn't surprise me. It'd just be more stuff to talk about. Or not.
More content for State of Things.
Mm-hmm.
More content for State of Things. And this is one that Laura wanted to talk about her home country, about some guy named Musk.
Yeah.
Okay, you see Laura's eyes just light up there.
Yeah.
Get ready, folks, if you're watching this. Get ready if you're watching this. Go ahead, Laura.
Apparently, Elon Musk went to Brazil to discuss free speech with Bolsonaro, who we all know is an advocate for free speech and human rights.
Exactly.
So you know what, Laura, I'm going to interrupt. You may want to clear because we have a worldwide audience, so they may not know. So go deeper on that.
Okay, so Jair Bolsonaro, the current president of Brazil, has a long, very public history of saying things such as, wanting the genocide of indigenous people, wanting gay people to die, thinking that it's justifiable for parents to kill their kids if they're gay or like things like that. He has a history of saying things like certain women in politics are not pretty enough to be raped. Like things to this level coming from a public figure. Arguably, he did say those things. A majority of his worst comments happened before the presidency. But let's be honest, it's not like he changed his personal views since then. He went out of his way to deny vaccines to millions of people in Brazil, even when I think Pfizer wanted Brazil to be like the first country to have like the entire population vaccinated, and he wanted Pfizer to pay him.
That's true. I remember reading that, which
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So that's the guy that we're talking about. Um, this is the guy who has been bootlicking everything Trump says. A guy who has been very, very forthright about wanting to ease gun restrictions in Brazil as well, because we all know that what Brazil needs more is access to guns. Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's funny. It's funny. And the same person who advocates for the death of certain groups of people, the same person who is involved in an investigation of a murder of activist politician Marielle Franco, who was going up against him really, really hard and was murdered. And there's people have found links between his son and paying the guy who was proven to have killed this woman. So this guy is involved in all sorts of things that do not speak human rights.
And you're right. And the deforestation, talk about that. That's what's been going on with
Okay.
Bolsonaro. That's why Musk is there.
let's think about the fact that when he was elected, as soon as he was elected, the Amazon caught on fire. And it was no coincidence. There was a trial going on there because he wanted to sell those lands for people to do like petroleum and whatever the fuck they wanted to do there. The indigenous people who lived there were like, no, we live here. We're not gonna get out. And they were like, okay, so we're gonna kick you out. And they just set fire to
Burn
the
them
forest. And it's like, it's crazy because recently, a few, like 2 weeks ago, there was a case where the illegal people who work in the Amazon, stuff like that, they raped and assaulted 2 indigenous women, killed them, and the government literally chose not to even report that. They were like, no, that's not even worth a police report. It's like, what do you mean? How can you tell me that you are for the Amazon when you are willingly burning it because you would rather, if it can't be yours, it's no one's. And on the same hand, you dare tell me that you represent your people when this is what you do to the people? Mm-mm.
Well, it's really strange that Elon Musk is there because I think on one hand, there's that SpaceX thing and some kind of satellite that he has that he's saying he's, providing internet access to kids across Brazil in these hard to reach rural areas, and also patting himself on the back because this is also he and Bolsonaro. It creates environmental ways to monitor what's going on inside, basically the inside the Amazon and the forest and all over. Basically, what they've just done is created a surveillance system because they've been the ones. Bolsonaro has basically allowed land loggers and thievery and all these horrible crimes like against the indigenous people to exist, and I believe it's just going to get worse. I also know that Elon, I'm such a good person, Musk, is not. And everything, if he's involved, it's usually something very, very dark. I think this is you're looking at a psychotic, unhappy individual, very messed up, who, by the way, we'll talk about that later. But, next month we have the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles, and Bolsonaro is supposed to attend. And this is about climate change and different things. But, these people are such allies of Donald Trump. They only show up here as disruptors. They don't ever make a change. I mean, some people, there is a vibe that we are attracting socially with the most disgusting people in the world. I mean,
But this is
Kim
because
Kardashian today promoting Rick Caruso for a mayor. And it's like, why would we want another freaking uh, um, real estate developer in any line of business in politics until all the loopholes are closed in real estate development so we can prosecute them and take away all their abilities to, he's going to take care of all the homeless people and all the crime that we have. The crime, get used to it. These people will be driving around in bulletproof cars. Like in Brazil, it's like there's times at night you don't even stop at a light. You just like
that's the
go.
thing. That's the thing.
But
First of all,
that's what's happening. Yeah.
every single patent that Republicans bring forth as an accusation is something that they are guilty of doing.
Yes.
And by default, they're never going to do anything to change these things.
Never.
They're using them as a distraction for the week while they pull up some other shady shit and then they move on with the cycle. And the thing is that at the same time, I want to tell Americans to go vote. But the thing is that what the fuck is the point of voting when gerrymandering is legal?
It's true. That too is
What
what's
is the
happening.
point?
They've already got us in a trick bag.
Where
You're
is the
right.
democracy when gerrymandering is legal? There's
I
no
was looking
democracy.
In Texas, people were like, they eat two people, neighbors don't even have the same representative.
I
They
would
cut
say-
them in half now.
I would say that the current American government is not a democracy, is a suprocracy, because it's about suppressing democracy
Yes,
and supremacy.
absolutely. And we're definitely on our way to a
To a
full-on
white supremacy, suprocracy.
authoritarian government. Because also, if it gets so bad, that will be the only leadership that people will want. Because those, they want to go so extremely. You're taking away our right to say
But-
anything or our this or that. I mean, seriously, when you're doing something, sometimes you have to table something for a minute and go, listen, bitches, this is not going to happen right now. I need to get to the bottom about what happened. So just be quiet. I don't need to hear somebody in my office going, you're messing with my rights. I can't talk. I'm like, then you're out of here and you're fired. Because
I'm gonna be really honest with you. Like,
Damn.
I really, really can't with the people who are just trying to make excuses for everything.
Mhm.
And liberals right now are the people
Yes.
I feel like slapping the most, because silence is consentment, and nothing pisses me off more than a fucking whataboutist liberal
Yeah.
who's all like, well, not all, blah. Shut up.
I know.
Did you raise her, Jill?
Probably in another. We're in a parallel universe. We are Avengers in a parallel universe. We are we're out
Multiverse.
there fighting the good fight.
Oh
She's my colleague.
goodness! All right, so
Mhm.
Although
course,
I gotta say, Tesla does not have a future in Brazil, because unless they make bulletproof Teslas, it's never gonna happen.
Exactly.
Right now,
Right.
everyone, it's seriously a meme going on. Every
Mhm.
single rich person who has a Tesla for iPhone picture purposes, because they're only taking stories for their Instagram because they can't.
That sucks.
all right, let's go to our last conversation topic tonight. R.I.P. Ray Liotta, star
Yeah.
of Goodfellas, Field of Dreams, star dead at 67 years old.
I know.
Any tributes from either one of you?
Just what a great actor. What a really he seemed to be working all the time. Like it seemed like he never let any grass grow under his feet. Really, really going to be missed. His work was just really wonderful.
I'll be praying for their family too, because I'm sure this kind of thing is never easy when it's on the public eye too. It's hard on its own, but everybody talking about it must not be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, great actor, a lot of great roles. Oh, Agent Bay is keeping up on your friend Elon. It says Elon is planning to expanding Starlink in Brazil.
That's what it was. Yeah, Starlink. I guess it's a new surveillance system. They're going to figure out how to traffic and abduct people and then put them in a spaceship. And then, I mean, it's seamless. They're just working out the kinks.
One of my biggest phobias is with artificial intelligence, because I dread the day the robots will want to have a revolution going on. And why do I have a feeling that Elon Musk is literally like that one tiny guy from The Incredibles who is responsible for... He's gonna create something because he's gonna think that this is so smart, so intelligent, that's gonna work for him. And then that thing is gonna turn against him and everyone else.
It's so weird. I saw that years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was listening to something. This is before we kind of knew what Elon's little MO was. And he was saying that AI scared him. And basically it frightened him. And his whole belief system was that it could turn on mankind and see it as a threat to the planet. Literally. And what's interesting for Elon Musk is that we all know that everything he says, he's another one. He's telling on himself. You know, there's a really interesting thing about artificial intelligence where, have you noticed when you go to Google Translate, there were regional dialect things that they couldn't pick up, right? It just couldn't master when you would put in something when you'd speak. If you look at how advanced it is now, it's because and Babelfish, which is, you know, where that came from. Basically, the AI has trained itself. It trained itself to pick up the little colloquialisms. And I was listening to a podcast about this the other day. It has trained itself to perfect it. And it now knows certain regions and it can translate some of them. So before it used to, if you tried to send somebody like, you know, a happy birthday in German, people would always pick the most unpopular formal phrase of it. Now, no longer. It's picking like things that are how it's said, like you roll up to somebody and say hi, or, you know, it's not like, hello, Miss So-and-so. It's like, you know, so that was kind of wild. And so now the biggest concern with AI and this is why we need governments and leaders to be talking about things that matter. And we should be beyond this primitive annihilism and annihilating ourselves with artificial intelligence. We need to determine what parts of it we want to keep in our algorithm. Do we want this for this or this? You know, so when you sit and see someone like Kardashian and Pete Davidson going to hang out with the dude from Amazon, Jeff Bezos, you need to pay attention. These are like super, super elite things happening. And in the worlds of where we are, there's just something wrong with all of that. You know what I'm saying? And this will be the designer that we take, and we're going to take 3. They're building the Noah's Ark. They're building the ship. There was a book once called The Last Waltz of the Tyrants. I don't know. It was it was a spiritual book, very interesting book. A lot of stuff it said, and people won't even notice while all of this is going on because they will be so attracted to a little screen, distracted with a little screen they'll be watching. And what's so interesting is that I had that book in the 80s. So The Last Waltz of the Tyrants is quite the read, because in my opinion, you know, all this, the Armageddon stories, the this, the that, they're all distractions. There is something going on.
So Agent Bay says, here's the real reason Elon is in Brazil. He is making a trade agreement to get access to lithium. He needs lithium for batteries, and it's about control.
He needs lithium, period, to be taking it. They need to put him back on his lithium.
I always have opinions about something. So
Agent Bay is saying, cracking up over here. Well, we are. Hopefully, you'll be a regular member of the family.
I would
Agent
love
Bay.
that.
Yeah, no problem. So we're going to close it down because Elon wants us. So
if we don't close it, he's gonna close us.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And Almighty Baby says, great conversation. Thank you, Jen. Much appreciated. And Jen, I hope you are happy with having a new member to the family. So I know you'll give us a comment on that. But before we leave, we want to say, as always, give the contact information of our lovely friends. So first up, Miss Faria.
Oh, so my Instagram is Laura. Yeah, that's my Twitter, Laura Faritos, and that's the same for my Instagram.
Oh, both.
Yes.
Oh, you got the same.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
didn't know.
So what you know what I'm gonna do, and it's I'll put both of them up if I didn't know if for both. So let me represent you properly. Okay, let's do it this way.
Thank you.
All right, on the
Nice.
gram and on the Twitter, and then we have Jill Jones.
That's me right there.
That's
and
me. I love
Jill
that.
D. Jones.
That's me.
And then on
Instagram,
Instagram, I think
it's
I'm
Jill
Jill
Jones
Jones
Music.
Music. Yes.
So you know what? Why don't I represent? I did it for Laura. Let me do it for you too. Let me represent properly. And at Jill Jones Music on, yes, we do things in real time here, folks. Instagram. All right, so we're corrected, and now there's the proper
There you go.
representative. Jill Jones on Twitter, at Jill Jones, Jill D Jones on Twitter, and on
Yes.
Instagram, Jill Jones Music. All right, I got it proper. Represent the ladies properly, and then myself. If you want to touch base with me, well, just go to the drvibeshow.com. Also, if you want to, there's the places you can get a hold of me. There you go. Everything's on there. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email, website. Got it? Got it. Got it. All right. You can watch replays of State of Things with Aisha and Jill on my website, the drvibeshow.com, Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, The Dr. Vibe Show. So that's where you catch all the replays. As always, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who watched the conversation live on replay or listened to it on replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. As always, we close with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, respect. Remember to give yourselves grace. And remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And we'll see someone back next week. We may not see Jill, but hope we're going to see Aisha and the new member of the family, Laura. God bless. Peace. Well, keep the faith. Walk good.